Welcome back, one and all, to the final set of the Paladins Minor League for split number 1 just prior to MSI. Congrats to Hype Unit in their last set, ending things off on the right note. I'm Dolson. Alongside me for set 4 of the day. Had to do the math really quick in my head. Is Gormizer, of course. And, what?
Quick maths.
Yeah, quick maths.
2 plus 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3, quick maths.
I hated every minute that we have Sanguine, of course, against BOORK here for the end of the day. And while it's not necessarily guaranteed, you would expect Sanguine to come out on top of this one. But we were kind of looking at the standings just prior to this. So if Sanguine win, I mean, they're through and free and clear on that top seed because they have the benefit of map differential. But if BOORK find a way to win, things do get a little bit interesting.
And that's where things start to break down. Does BOORK win this match? That remains to be seen. But does BOORK in week 1 win this match? No. Like, that's the difference. Is like BOORK, as of right now, is one of those teams that can play upset.
True.
They can kind of play up against these teams that are number 1, number 2, and do pretty well against them. We saw, I think, last week when they went up against Hype Unit, but I think this week Sanguine might give them a little more push back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big if, definitely, for sure. Sanguine, of course, playing some of their best Paladins right now at the moment. Flame Effects, notably, is really trending upwards. We've seen how much Khan has played a role in some of the matches earlier today, notably our first set for either team, the 3-2 to start off the day. Khan playing a huge role in both of those matchups. Flame Effects is going to be the guy here on Sanguine to take up that mantle, and I expect him to do very well, as he's done very well up to this point all season.
I mean, being able to come in, this is actually one of the few players that I think I've seen play several different styles throughout not only the minor league, but just every time that I've seen him flame was, I think even at the beginning of the split playing DPS, but switching to this off tank has been a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like, it's very difficult to take on this role and fill in the way that some of these players have. I mean, like, you look at Renegades, Moonchopper didn't really start shining in that role until these last few weeks in the PPL.
Sure.
So Flame being able to switch over, start playing that, and look as incredible as it has been perfect.
And you talk about switching up roles a little bit. Of course, BOORK on their side, they've had a lot of roster swaps throughout the season. Frog
Not
has
the
come
same
in here
team that
recently.
joined
No,
in.
not at all the same team. Frog notably has come in. We like to talk about his EV, and teams like to identify that EV as something to ban out in a lot of these games. But of course, when you can do stuff like that on a Bomb King, you have to take that very seriously as well.
I'm so glad it started with that, because that was last week, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Either way, I distinctly remember tweeting at him right afterward, being like, that was one of the most insane things I've seen on Bomb King. And I genuinely don't think there's a period of time, anytime soon, that I'm ever going to see that again. Like, that is a unique kill that is going to come through. And he was saying, he was like, when that happened, the first thing that went through my mind was, man, I hope this gets casted.
Yeah, and it was absolutely a bizarre kill, fitting, because Bizarre is map number 1 for Sanguine and BOORK, and Bizarre was.
Why don't we have more words that have 2 A's in a row like that? Like Aardvark.
I'm really like digging in right
now. Does Aardvark actually have 2 A's at the beginning of it? I just good.
Or is it in the middle? Aaron,
Either way,
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
There you go.
That's actually
true.
for the longest time. That's how I remembered.
Those are the only 3 words. Is Bizarre, Aardvark, and Aaron.
And the name Aaron.
And those are the only 3 words in the history of language that have double A's in the middle. I'm sure that's certainly not the case. Eevee notably not banned out here. I don't know quite yet how that would work on a map like Bizarre, but Frog loves that champion, so if it's available and seems viable, I wouldn't be surprised to see it.
She can actually be pretty solid here. I think this is actually important for BOORK, because when you get Genos, usually, like, Sanguine scoop up, again, 2 front lines that are going to be the best ones to have.
I will fight to protect
you grab
the
Ashe,
sanctity of the
you grab
wild.
Barrack, all of a sudden they have to reach a little deeper into their pockets, but that does still leave the EV open, and EV pairs with Genos so well because of the damage numbers. And on this map, point fight-wise, it might not be the cleanest, but she's going to bounce around a lot. I think she has a lot of cover and a lot of area to kind of hide behind that. I think she's going to still look really solid.
No, I absolutely think so.
And
in a map where those high ground ring fights are so
ground.
important, having that extra mobility of the EV, I imagine, will be very, very beneficial for them. Leon notably getting picked up on the opposite side. Damba as well. That's sort of been the 1-2 healer punch that we see come through. and a Tyra as well, so they're going to get the double damage amp.
And the other thing about this, and the thing that's been standing out to me about Tyra is like, the damage amp is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Wrong about us.
And they're actually going to go the triple DPS as well.
That scares me, though, because we saw that come out for all business in our first set, and they got steamrolled on this map.
Yeah, well, I guess there's two things I can throw out. One is that Tyra and Talus both incredibly exceptional at burning down tanks whenever it comes through, and Bomb King a little tankier as well, so should help with him. But the other thing that kind of stood out to me is the fact that Inara, the only the main game I have on this map in my mind, and the PPL, there's only one, is Virtus Pro versus Envy. It was also the only game that Inara won in that set. Because Virtus Pro kept picking Inara. And the first time, it looked really good here on Bazaar because she can kind of wall herself around in this square point. And then every other map, it happened to fall flat almost immediately.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a bizarre map. There's some bizarre...
So
the problem is it is really pretty. I mean, I like it because it's a play on words, but it truly is a well-designed map. Looks very, very clean. But we, of course, have just such a small sample size right now of kind of what does and doesn't work. We've gotten a little bit of an idea. What stood out to you there?
Apache.
Oh.
A new name coming in for BOORK here on the Tyra.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if that might be maybe affecting their decision to go for the triple DPS, sorry. Being able to come through. I mean, seeing Priz not on Leon or Cassie is going to be very interesting as well. Especially on Talus, who hasn't been around the scene in a hot minute.
And right now, BOORK are down, fighting up. Sanguine all taking up that high ground right there, and everyone on BOORK going the low road. Edgum's going to benefit from that with the Leon. Takes out Apache on the Tyra, and they're being heavily forced out right now. A couple bombs stuck on Priz right now. Catches the damage, but doesn't die off just as of yet. Firing away, he's actually been able to keep himself alive so well right now. Of course, the Genos mark is going to see to that, but a triple kill from the Bomb King. From Neo. We talk about Frog on the Eevee, Neo on the Bomb King. Should just be on your mind just as much as Frog on the Eevee.
I think that's the big thing Sanguine have going for them is, well, they are a dominant team. They're #1 for a reason, and I think Neo just kind of showcased that. It's one of those things that we've kind of mentioned in the past, certain teams, like, you know, if you have a player pop off, how consistently can that happen?
Right.
But when you get to the top teams, either in the PML or the PPL, they consistently do it. It's not a pop-off at that point. It's just that's how they play. It's getting double kills, triple kills, sometimes quadra kills. Like, that's just in their MO. That's their motif. That's what they go for when they're designing their new home, right? Like, that's how things work for them. And so I think Sanguine, admittedly, kind of, you have to catch them tripped up.
Well, I think that's very much how Neo came into the minor league this split. 'Cause he obviously didn't start out, and then I remember week 1 when he came through, it was a Bright Marsh game where he just went crazy, and at that point probably considered a pop-off. And I remember taking note of how many times he sprays throughout the game, and you know that might just be like a little like movement thing that he does, but I like to think it's because he's always making such big plays that he wants to have the spray in the replay. So he tries to make sure to spray all the time, but
that is a standard, like, when you're playing a pub match, that is standard, like, I know I'm going to get top play, so I'm going to make sure it isn't the spray. So, like, that guy who just got styled on feels it even more at the end of the game.
That's a good true power onto Edgem, but an even better Dread Serpent from Baller Steve sends Priz off in the opposite direction. Gets a kill there, Vayne with one as well. And this is where it sort of gets hard to push this payload. It's such a choke point. There's really only 2 alleyways that you can come through. Or really this one. There's 3 kind of huts or routes that you can take to get there, but it all ends up in that one direction. And then of course the gate mechanics, with only the blue team in this case benefiting from the gate that'll take you in over to the other side. You know, the fight happens in this one spot, so BOORK are able to set themselves up. Here's the King Bomb. That's going to go right underneath Vayne right now, and he actually ends up finding Apache, Neo, Baller, Steve, all with one. Neo, he's not dying. The healing's been good. He keeps himself alive. That's 3 kills, almost 4 here once Priz falls. This payload's looking like it's going to go in.
And considering the drafts overall, this is a team on BOORK that you either have to steamroll with or get steamrolled. It very much is in that vein. Whereas Vayne, unable to even touch down at the very end there. And I'm going to throw this out there. This is going to be my one-off topic for the day. Every time I hear Apache, all I can think of is the Sugar Hill Gang.
No, that one's lost on me.
That one's lost on you. I don't even know if I want to use old.
Sure.
But it's an older older set of songs.
Got it. Okay.
But they're yeah. You should. You know what? I'll play it after. I'll play it after.
Why don't you just
I got it on my phone.
Why don't you
so
just put your phone up to your headset right now, and we'll
Nope,
all, all give it a listen.
I will get.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Probably fire.
That would be bad news.
Which,
bears,
depending
for sure.
on your opinion, viewer, would be good or bad.
On my opinion of you?
Well, no, opinion viewer, whatever. Who are the people watching? I mean, I guess your opinion too. Right. It would be good or bad. For
well,
me
it's
to
bad
get
for everyone. I'll speak for the entire community, saying that would be a horrific thing. So let's not listen to the music and preserve you here for as long as we can. And Edgem this entire game has really been able to free fire.
Yeah.
I love doing it. Every time I pull it back, I always just jump right into whatever we see. Edgem's been able to free fire really from the top ropes this entire game and not face too much pressure. Of course,
wow.
With you said it pretty well, and there's a triple kill from the Leon, as I'm talking about. I love when they prove me right. I'm talking about how Edgem is playing so well, and a triple kill just bolsters that a little bit more. And you're very much right with the composition that BOORK have. It's kind of a, would you say, steamroll or be steamrolled? And that's just kind of the way it's gone right now. Sanguine have positioned themselves well, fought their team fights very well. Triple kill there from Edgem. I mean, you have good positioning by the team, and then you have individual performances as well. That's a good dome shield as well, just to keep himself alive. There was so much burn to try to get Jalen Sanity out, but it's not going to work out here. Instead, Frog is going to be the one catching a death. And 3-0 here for Sanguine. They're pushing to end the game now.
Yeah, the thing for Sanguine going forward with, like, looking at the two drafts again, Sanguine have gotten something not only tried and true, but it is very high ground control based. Like the balconies, all of the catwalks overlooking the objective are in their favor. If you're on one side, Leon can shoot you from the other, and if you're on the side with Bomb King, he's just going to burn you down because there's nowhere to run from him. Either way, you kind of find yourself in an unfortunate position, and I think that's kind of where it's coming down to. Talus, there's, as much as I hate to say it, because I would love to see him more, there's a reason he's not really in the meta right now. I think he's going to be good against, like, a Ruckus.
Oh, my.
But in this kind of composition, there's no one he burns down fast enough that it makes you feel confident. Like, if he starts shooting at Barrack or Ash, Leon or Bomb King just respond, and he's dead.
Edgem. He was dead to rights in there. The gate wasn't going to open for him, and he's able to manifest destiny his way out of there. True power is good for one on the ball or Steve, so the healing is gone from Sanguine, but, well, that doesn't matter when the rest of your team is killing everyone else on the enemy team. We talked about how they're I mean, Sanguine is certainly no changing it going to MSI. I mean, the seeding potentially was in jeopardy today, depending on how these games went. But if they continue to play like that, they're not going to be in jeopardy at all.
And that's one of those things, like, it's if they don't win, right? BOORK have looked good for 3-1s a lot in these last few weeks. They've been getting better. Sometimes it looks like it could even become a 3-2. I think, especially considering we're seeing a sub in right now, it's going to be shaking things up a lot more in favor of Sanguine. And again, when you're looking at win conditions, like, there's a lot on the side of BOORK, like maybe Tyra pops off, maybe Frog pops off, maybe Priz pops off. But the problem is that all three of those kind of rely on Aspect and his role in this to be able to boost them up. And then, of course, their individual performance being able to box out someone like Edgem. Whereas Sanguine were like, cool, well, if Edgem doesn't get the triple kill, Neo gets a triple kill. And if Neo or Edgem don't get the triple kill, then Ash is getting a triple kill. Like, someone on this team is going to carry, whether or not it's the same person each round, whether or not it's one of the carries. Whereas BOORK, someone on the team is going to carry, but you have to take out, I want to say, like, the priority targets first. And they were just never able to get to him.
No, and that's a really good way of looking at it, is that, you know, Genos will give you that early advantage in the fight. Of course, his healing keeps you alive as long as you have the mark on you. But it's very front-loaded, and if your team immediately is losing these fights, I mean, Genos is not going to heal you up through these fights and really keep you alive in the way that someone like a Damba can. So that's nothing against Genos. It's just when you build that composition that BOORK did, and then you lose the fights initially still. Genos isn't really going to bail you out of that very often.
This is, I mean, it's something Evan has said for a long time, whereas Genos is not the guy who equalizes a fight. He's not the guy who takes back a point. You get ahead, you stay ahead, and that's kind of where he fits. You can get even, stay even, but there's not like especially in a matchup like Sanguine versus BOORK, Sanguine versus Zenith, it's not the equalizer that like Torvald would be. Torvald is someone who, if you get him on your team, could very feasibly turn the match into your favor. Sanguine kind of recognized, well, like, if we don't want him, we don't need you to not have him, but like it makes our jobs a lot easier if BOORK doesn't have him. So you can go whatever you want. And I think it kind of shows the shakiness that BOORK is standing on. When Genos gets banned, they go for the Maldamba first. Like, Fury's been really big in the meta. Saris has been okay. I really like Ying still, but if you're not comfortable on those 3 other healers, you need your Maldamba.
No, and that's why I like BOORK going with Damba Ashe right here. They get arguably with Atlas gone and then the bans being the way they are, I would say Ashe is kind of that next up in terms of off tank, and then Damba as well. So that really puts Sanguine in maybe not necessarily a weird spot, but it has to open you up to whether it's a Ying or a Furia or even a Saris. I mean, it's just making the healer on the opposing team just slightly more uncomfortable. Barik, of course, coming through as well now for BOORK, and they've drafted themselves a good front four.
Honestly, I really like it. Again, the biggest issue for it is that, you know, Eevee, as good as Frog is on Eevee, she's still very performance dependent. I mean, we just saw Frog with a Luminary boost on Eevee last map, and it didn't all click. It didn't all come together. This time around, you're going to have that. No Luminary boost on a map that maybe is going to be a lot more comfortable. I think this is actually the first map I saw him play Eevee on, and I know he can make it work. But Cassie, Bomb King, Atlas, admittedly, they're all going to give her so much trouble.
No, and Ying is going to be where Sanguine end up going healer-wise, and BOORK, this is a big bounce-back map. I mean, we saw one reverse sweep earlier today, but it was Sour Team doing the reverse sweeping. A Sanguine win this one could spell the end of the split for BOORK, but you can never count them out. They've shown some moments of brilliance throughout the split as well, and then, of course, some moments of Frog brilliance on Eevee on Bright Marsh. So maybe more of that here from BOORK.
I would love to see it.
I would love to see it.
There are a few champions when you see someone who's just so good at them that like you could just watch it all day. Yeah. Eevee is one of those champions to me. I also love like when you have someone like Rock Monkey or Hecate playing Kanessa or Strix.
Yeah.
I could watch those all day. Just watching people with good aim or with someone who's very mechanically difficult. Like I even love like watching Spunky play Maldamba is a treat because it's just they do things that one I'm just incapable of outright. But also on the note of the fact that these are very mechanically adept champions and making certain decisions in the heat of the moment that they do are what's so impressive. The small min-maxing they do just makes such a huge difference.
And I think this is about as comfortable of a lineup as BOORK will get with Priz on Villian as well, and then having Ashe and Barik and Damba. Honestly, I mean, top to bottom, I think all the players on BOORK will be comfortable with what they've been given here. And they're on the point first. That's a good stun. Flame Effect's getting stunned up. The double reversal. Could he finish up both even? He does. Gets the double kill on the Atlas. Now, Ashe is the next one in his sights. The second chance is going to get that health bar nice and full. But now there's 3 members of BOORK trying to chase him down. We're just going to try to zone him out here. They're fighting from the point. 54% apiece for both teams. The early aggression went the way of Sanguine. BOORK was able to answer back with Sanguine now fighting from the point. Priz getting chunked down here. And Atlas is a tough one to duel with.
And that's part of the reason. I mean, you just saw Leon Maldamba doing pretty well, stunning people out, kind of keeping them corralled. And then he just rewinds both of them to their lowest point of health where they get locked into a position where he just follows up with an immediate shot and kill and then chases the other one down. Like, that's part of the reason Atlas is so strong right now is when you learn him, when you have him in your pocket, he makes plays on his own. Like, he is a playmaker.
And overtime now is ticking away for Sanguine, so BOORK need to be the ones to make the plays. The Illusory Rift came out, and that's going to top off the blue health bars. And they actually are on the point now. BOORK loses one. The Dread Serpent's good, sends Flame Effects right into the waiting hands of BOORK right now, but there's not really any damage. Instead, they have to back off. Aspect is so low right now, as well as Frog. They can't really show their face. The blink in goes. Priz does not find one with the Enlightenment. Now it's down to Vayne. He's not going to get the touch in time, and Sanguine, they go up 1-0 yet again.
And this is going to be the thing, and you're looking at it like, I don't know how long, like if BOORK has practiced with Apache or not, but between Vayne and Longshot in the past, those moments would still happen, right? Where it's just like the communication of I got knocked off the point, like having to react so quickly to jump on an objective where overtime is going to dip faster than you could really react to. And that's where we've seen a lot of teams kind of falter. Again, it's just the timings on things. Whether or not you know that's about to happen is going to be a different story. But I think it's the control coming down from Sanguine to kind of have that wherewithal to be like, cool, all we have to do is knock this Barik off and we get the point. And they only have, well, I guess technically 2 champions that can do it, a Poppy Bomb or a Disengage. And either way, you'd never really expect either of those.
The Exiles are on board now. He's actually going to cancel it out after only using one, so he gets about 50% of that cooldown refunded. And I remember I was talking to Longshot last night in my stream, just very briefly, and he was saying that he was out of town this week, which is why Apache is playing this game. So I don't think, granted, I don't know, so this is pure speculation on my part. I don't believe it's a permanent roster swap.
Oh, no.
But he was not around to play in the game this week. I believe he was on vacation with the family. So that's why we get to see Apache now on the Ashe plugging away. Another illusory rift for Sanguine is going to be good in this fight. That's going to give him just enough of an edge for Edgem as he now finds a double on the Cassie. Apache and Aspect, frontliner and healer are gone. Frog just weaving his way through the air now. Oh, but he sniffs that one out. Edgem does. Well played from him. That's a 5 sweep for Sanguine. And they're pushing in around the corner here. They do have the ultimates on BOORK to stop it. Seismic Crash and Scout soon to be up for Sanguine, though.
So this is like the opposite. That window is the opposite of Vivian's shield, but
yeah,
kind of the same. Like, you're just going to that window for the protection it gives you, except for where Vivian's shield would sit. But for every carry, for a Leon, for a Cassie, for an Amani, they love going in there. And it's because you have just such a perfect view of the point without having to be at the point. But you can see Edgem still gets aggressive, still comes out of the corner, still is able to find kills because of it. And I think this is honestly not on the back of these kills as much as it is that they're staggering them out so heavily. No,
they absolutely are. And we talk about comfort picks on the side of BOORK. Edgem on this Cassie is about as comfortable as you can hope for. And you see it come to play there. 11 streak for him. 11 on Flame Effects as well. 4 deaths, really all going on, honestly, to the Bomb King in this case, but he's just playing aggressive. He's opening the doors. Sanguine are walking right on through. Here's the beautiful play from Edgem. Actually, he smells out exactly where Frog is going to be, right around the corner, timing that well. Just knowing when he was going to have to come down from the air there. Yeah, Neo, 4 deaths. That's good for most on the team, more than the rest of the team combined. However, he's just playing his role in this one, opening the door for Edgem and Flame Effects to find the kills themselves.
You're okay going 1-4 when your Atlas is 5-0-6 and your Cassie's 9-0-2. And the one thing that's also standing out, Baller Steve, who I, again, have highlighted, I think, this entire split, who has just been a phenomenal support. But going for the Ying here, who kind of functions as Maldamba 2.0, right? Very similar healing styles, except the ult, and that's going to be the big thing. She's going to have different CC or no CC when it comes down to it. It's going to be just a massive amount of healing. And coming into the round, like, it charges incredibly fast. Morale boost is really, really good for on top of that. But then look at this, like, one more shot he hits, and all of a sudden, everybody on the team gets healing.
I mean, it's literally, and that's why you see a healing chart the way it is. Literally double the healing of what you're getting on the enemy team. Catching up a little bit, but that's just the benefit of having a Ying on your team. It tops your team off twice as much. And Baller Steve plays these champions to a T, so we talk about, you know, you have Genos, you take away Genos, you have Damba, like, where do you go after that? Baller Steve showing that he can play the Ying with the best of them in this case, and despite the kills, the late kills in this one going the way of BOORK, the healing and the aggression from Sanguine was just too much, and they capture point number 3.
You know, we always talk about, or lately we've been mentioning, like, min-maxing the heals with Maldamba, with Gord, like cycling the abilities properly to be able to make sure that you're getting some decent damage out. And right now we're seeing Baller Steve do the exact same thing with Eevee, or with Ying, sorry, where it's, I'm gonna get a heal, drop an illusion, shoot, shoot, heal, shoot, shoot, illusion, shoot, shoot, heal, shoot. Like, every single shot comes through. And like, it's not gonna, at the end of the day, you're gonna look at the damage numbers he's putting out at the end of the game, you're gonna see them, and it's not gonna make a big difference at all in terms of what you see out of, like, Cassie. But when you then say, okay, well, separate that into like 10 kills, and just imagine how many people he was applying that damage to and how much that helped, say, a Cassie, an Atlas, a Bomb King, clean someone up. Like, those small moments as a support really do change the pace of the game to make it a little faster and maybe easier for your team.
No, it can't be understated. I mean, it's hard to catch some of that nuance on a regular basis, but Baller Steve definitely has it in his pocket, as most of these other players in the PML do as well. Jalen, Sanity, and Apache are going to trade off here with about a minute left on the clock. The payload hasn't moved very far out of the dome there. BOORK have put a good line down, telling Sanguine they're not going to cross. Apache, though, he catches just a little bit of that burst damage from the Cassie. Frog is able to answer back just before being cleaned up by Flame Effect, so it looks like they're maybe going to be able to fight back to their payload here in this case. That's a good setback onto Aspect. he's kind of playing the last line of defense here for BOORK with Vayne dancing around the side here as well. He actually ends up finding a kill onto Neo, which is pretty big, right before he ends up falling. So Sanguine are able to fight back to the payload and get it moving forward for the first time seemingly in this round, but still 30 seconds left. If they win some of these next little skirmishes pretty handily, it could sneak up on BOORK.
30 seconds, but they won last time, or they can do it in overtime if they need to, right? Where it's like, even if this gets contested right around here, which is actually the first, I would say, official choke point once you get out of the base, I don't see it snagging too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess is the only way I can word that, where it's just, they don't seem like a team that's going to get stopped that often, especially now that they have the illusory rift popped. Everyone's going to be getting the healing. Neo gets 2 kills. That's what you need to start things off.
There it is. He has 2 now on the Bomb King. Had a bit of a rough start to this one, but he picks it up at the right time, and 2 as well for the Inara. Flame Effects rounds out, and that equals 5. And 5 is the number of streaks for Sanguine. And you're right. I mean, this is exactly to that point. 30 seconds, you know, it's a little bit further back, overtime now, but it's getting dangerously close. There's not really much room for mistake here. Jalen Sanity or Flame Effects needs to stay alive in order to stay around that payload, but BOORK can't really step down from this high ground. They kind of have to poke if you're not one of these frontliners, because you cannot make your way back up there unless you have some sort of mobility. There's the Ice Storm from Frog into a good spot, getting some good chunk damage in onto a couple members of Sanguine right there, and Jalen Sanity, he falls, and that's all they need to find point number 1 here on Brightmarsh.
This map does 2 things really well. One is that it's very short, so you don't technically have to spend as much time in the overtime as possible to get the full push. But also, the longer you spend in overtime, and with the way the map is laid out, you're usually going to only send 1 frontline to the point. So once that 1 frontline is gone, your overtime timer just disappears, which is exactly what happened. Again, no one able to respond in time from Sanguine, even though they were pretty much in complete control. And still, undying is Edgem. Still, top damage is Edgem. Still, top kills in the game is Edgem. Playing incredibly well. And actually not top damage. Well, top on his team, but, I mean, Frog and Priz are out-damaging him. They don't have anywhere near as clean the slash line, but, like, they're getting more poke, they're getting more damage. Yeah. They're just not able to control as much of the map.
Oh, man, this is a good area, honestly, for Neo to fight it, but there's too much aggression coming right back at him. The King Bomb is good for a couple of stuns. Apache and Vayne both losing their lives in that one. That's a double kill for the Bomb King. That's dangerous there. I mean, you commit so heavily, but if Bomb King is able to round that corner and return damage with such a small area, you're going to have a bad time, and that's exactly what happens there. It's a bit of a back-and-forth fight, but what's really important here is that Sanguine, they're the ones fighting from the point right here with 90%.
I mean, this is control, and honestly, that entire last Bomb King segment, like Neo, it felt kind of like he was playing in fast forward in my eyes, right? Like everything was just happening so quickly, but his reactions were so on point. Like that
quick.
To me was some of the best Bomb King play that you could see in a second. Like perfect reactions in the right scenario, good damage in the right areas, good kills. Like everything he did there was the best that it could be.
Agreed. Absolutely.
I mean, he lived, like he almost got out with 136 health.
Evan loves talking about those min-max moments, and that was definitely one of them. I mean, you could tell BOORK were sort of electing just for a big death ball rolling towards Neo in that moment. And he was throwing out bombs, detonating them on his way out, able to get back around the corner and then King Bomb back into it. So very aggressive, but very smart play there from Neo. Top damage in the game, as you mentioned, does go over to Priz, but it's a lot of poke damage that ends up getting healed up through Baller Steve. I mean, you can only poke him out so much until that illusory rift. Tops everyone on Sanguine off. Edgem 13-0-10, undying this game on the Cassie. Jalen Sanity notably as well had a great game. I feel like in every single one of those fights, it was either Neo had a double or Edgem had a double, and then it was like the Inara with 2 or 3 kills in a lot of those engagements, so well played to him. And Sanguine are 1 win away from rounding out their split with a 3-0.
And I think the biggest thing that Sanguine has done today against BOORK is nothing draft-wise that is like showcasing, oh, this is why you should be scared of us at MSI. Nothing that like is going to give people footage to counter them, because all the things they're doing well are things that just good players do, right? Where it's like, we're going to give Flame Effects Atlas, and we're going to set him up in a 1v2 scenario, and he's going to get both the kills. Like, he's going to walk out of that ahead, and those are those moments where that makes or breaks a team. And the fact that you have, at this point, from what I've seen, 5 people who can do that regularly, I think that's a good showcasing for them.
They're a dangerous team. Looking forward to MSI for sure. 4-0, 4-1 are the way the first two maps go. Warder's Gate for map number 3 here. Could get closed down. We don't get to see too much of the Warder's Gate fun, but we do get to see it here today. I wonder if a Pip is going to come through. I want to see a Pip so bad. It's like I love watching that champion, but hate playing against it because of how obnoxious he is.
I wouldn't be too surprised, honestly. I think either of these teams would be happy to run a Pip here. I don't know if they will, but I think either of them would be happy to.
It would be a good pick.
I think we actually have seen Neo on Pip on this map in the past, and I think I've seen someone, I don't know if it was Frog from BOORK, play Pip on this map in the past, but I feel like I've seen both of these teams play it. Definitely one of them, if not the other. And coming through, I mean, standard bans, con first.
Yep.
Nothing out of the ordinary, but I think what I'm feeling from BOORK right now is kind of a return to normalcy, where it's like a lot of their picks are comfort picks. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for an Eevee Leon again, but I wouldn't be surprised for a Pip Leon. I think Leon is definitely on the table, though, because Priz is just always consistent.
Yeah, no, and getting the Cassie back to Sanguine side as well, very, very important. We saw how that paid off for them in the last one. Damba, this is an interesting pick. I mean, obviously, Damba, I mean, I can only harp so much on the healers, but what does stand out to me is that we saw such good healing coming from the Ying in the last game that they won't mind, I don't think, at all to go immediately right back to that Ying. In this game, it's less of a, well, Damba or nothing for the side of Sanguine. So I think if they do end up going with the Ying here, they'll certainly be happy with it, showing that they can play it at the highest level.
And it's a really weird scenario because I feel like BOORK, it feels like it's a setup for a Damba or nothing because they're grabbing him so high. They grabbed him, what, first and then now second for their draft in the last 2 games. But I know Aspect has deeper pockets than that. It feels more like Damba, what he brings to the table, like in terms of stuns and setup, I think is what they're going for. Because I think Damba, Eevee, Damba, Leon are incredibly potent when you're getting those stuns. The problem right now for BOORK, in my eyes, is that Cassie was just controlling them every step of the way last game. Like, if Frog was able to get into a quote-unquote favorable position, he almost immediately was shot down by Edge.
But dust in the wind.
I think that's going to happen again.
Dust in the wind. He said it. He said dust in the wind, and I just...
Gore, you're feeling the music today. I'm excited to hear a little bit of Apache after this one.
I don't know. Is that the name of it?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
They definitely say it in the song.
Either way, Cassie Drogos for Sanguine here on this time. Shaolin coming through for BOORK, and you saw a little bit of play today, maybe only 1 or 2 games. Are you liking the Shaolin right now?
I like Shaolin for the same reason I think I like Sky right now. Like in the certain comps, obviously Shaolin will come up way more often than Sky. I think Sky is still a niche pick, but I think she's more viable. But with the stealth changes for Shaolin, for Strix, I think they can mean a little more. Just giving them that potency, that little extra second, really, to just get away, to not be traced down as easily, to not get knocked out of stealth. Is it going to make a difference? I would say 7 times out of 10, no.
Yeah.
But like that 30% where it is going to make a difference, I think he fits in well.
60% of the time, it works every time, Gore.
There you go.
The Battle of the Fangs coming down to a map number 3, of course, the Sanguine logo with the Fangs, and then the BOORK logo as well with the Fangs. So Battle of the Fangs it is. I dub the
Battle of the Fangs.
Jalen Sanity's going to look to build off his strong performance in the last game, just end out the split prior to MSI in a strong way. Well, Edgem, he builds off his own strong performance, and Neo as well. And it's a treat to get to watch him on the Bomb King. But Drogos, I'm very excited to see. Obviously, he can play it very well. But just to see how deep his pockets go, it's a 2 for Neo, 2 for Edgem to start this one off. And Sanguine are looking poised to end the set here.
Well, I will say, like, I haven't seen Neo play Drogos on this map specifically, but I've seen him play it on Stone Keep. I think I've seen him play it on, like, Splitstone. I've seen him play it a lot of places, and it never fails to impress. And, like, you can hear, like, it's not going to be kills. A lot of what you're going to be looking for is just the hits that he has. A lot of them direct hits because he's very, very strong with his champion. But, like, the damage numbers he's going to put out, I think, are going to be very high. I think Edgem, more often than not, will find the last hits, but this is going to be a threat from the sky that no one on BOORK has the ability to deal with.
Yeah, and they haven't even looked that direction really as of yet. I mean, too much going on the ground to even have a moment to look up to the Drogos where he's at up in the sky. prioritizing and using that Worm Jets perfectly. I've only seen him have to touch down once or twice here. Oh, good tumble out from Edgem. He got very deep in the base there. Caught a little too much damage, but was able to get out, get healing from that lovely Ying clone, just standing there towards the edge of the wall. And Frog has been using the mobility of Eevee very well. Blinking in, blinking out, getting some chunk damage, just hasn't really been enough, and it's not necessarily on him. In this case it is, with the nice solo kill on a Jalen Sanity. There just hasn't quite been the follow-up. The Eevee blinks in, gets a lot of chunk damage, but then the rest of the team hasn't quite been there to clean things up just yet.
And I think, honestly, what we're seeing, as much as it seems weird to say one player can have this big of an impact on a team, like, when you don't have the full 5-man that you've been being successful with, I mean, like, BOORK, from the last few weeks, BOORK with Longshot is a team that I think is a genuine threat for Split 2.
Sure.
This, like, just having Apache in, like, and no slight against Apache, it's just what you're comfortable with, what the comms are like normally,
it's
what the calls are normally like.
Right.
Like, there's so many things you expect to have happen that just might not be happening in the same vein.
Chemistry is absolutely a factor.
Yeah, I think it's playing a big role.
Oh, the Dragon Punch unfortunately times out just before Aspect catches that one on the job, but the salvo's going to be good for the rest of the damage. This payload's going to scoot its way in. Now just one cap and one push away are Sanguine from the 3-0 today. No, and I absolutely agree with that. I mean, Longshot has really started to come into his own, I would say, over the end of this split. BOORK in general as a team really has.
And it goes kind of what I was saying last game about Sanguine, where you have, you know, well, I guess actually it was the first game, where you have 5 players who at any point in time, if you say, hey, we need a triple kill, any of them really could pull it out. Like, even the support could. That's something I say about NIP, I believe. Like, it's one of those things that I like to throw out for them, where it's just like they have 5 guys that are going to play mechanically well, and that's what Sanguine has. BOORK have that when Longshot is there. Like, that's one of the things Longshot brings that I feel like we're kind of missing. His impact on the game is way more than just off-tank. It is 2 kills a fight off-tank. It's 3 kills if he needs to.
Ooh, good Dread Serpent sends Edgem running away, but he's going to just tumble off and out and away from that one. Apache and Frog do find the 2 opening kills in this fight.
Nice shot.
Beautiful shots there from Frog, and Edgem just dancing around that back wall right there. Catches 1 shot from Frog, but he's just going to get back and get a little bit of healing here. So now BOORK are on the point with the fast cap. So they win that little skirmish. And they could be well on their way to point number 1, but Neo's going to try to see to it that that doesn't happen. Or do you like Edgem on Cassie?
I like Edgem on Cassie. I think Edgem likes Edgem on Cassie.
Do you think that being alive is important for Edgem to play Cassie?
Yeah.
How about not dying the entire set up to this point?
Edgem the Undying.
Not only in this game, Gore, he has 0 deaths up to this point this entire set.
Now that you've called it out, he's going to die.
He's absolutely going to, and it's my fault, but game number 1, 0 deaths. Game number 2, 0 deaths. Game number 3, 0 up to this point.
Edgem gave himself a real life rule coming into this. He's like, I only got 1. Once I'm gone, I'm gone. So if I die, can't play the rest of the set. He's just got to keep going.
He turns off the PC if he catches 1 more death here. 13 streak burning away for the Cassie. And of course, that's just a funny way of saying Edgem on Cassie is dangerous. The more uptime you give Edgem on Cassie is dangerous. That's a higher potential for risk for the enemy team when he's able just to stay alive that long, and he's done it beautifully up to this point. Mechanically, the healing's been good, the frontline play's been good from Sanguine. Everyone doing their job. That's a group effort for sure. But just definitely a little nod to be given there to Edgem. 0 deaths on the set up to this point, and it could be 0 if this payload goes through. Just 1 point cap away from ending the week with a big goose egg in the death column.
I mean, everything's going perfectly well for him right now. Neo has been going also undying this game, not undying the set, but at least keeping himself going. 17 streak right now, and that's just the dream for
the dream,
right?
absolutely.
Like, you're looking at it and you're like, who's going to hit me? Like Shaolin, Khan? Like, I don't care about them. I'm just going to stay up in the air. I'll Dragon Punch anyone who happens to get in my way, and they're just going to keep it on roll.
Oh, that's going to do it, Gore. Edgem finds 1, Neo another one with the Dragon Punch. Make it 2 on the Drogos.
Good
Dread Serpent buys some time. Actually, very nice Dread Serpent there from Aspect. He's going to slither in, just dance around, get taken out, and Sanguine end the split with a 3-0 victory, and Edgem ends the split with an undying 3 games.
I don't think I've seen a more realistic Moldamba, like at the end where he's like, all right, guys, I'm going to dash in because I'm the one that's alive, and I have to. This is like part of the rules of the game is just I have to contest this. And then he gets there and he's like, but I'm also Moldamba, so I'm just going to emote, because what am I supposed to do against 5 people?
Yeah.
I already used my Dread Serpent. Like, what do you want
all the
from me?
respawns were coming through. Good day of the minor league, though. We got to see all 4 of your MSI teams play today, all 4 of them coming out with the win. Set number 1 was maybe a little bit closer than they would have liked. But definitely a fun day overall. Good temperature gauge. This one just shows Sanguine are playing some great Paladins right now, especially against a BOORK team that has been looking a lot better over recent weeks. It'll be fun to watch them specifically develop into next set. But wow, Sanguine just couldn't be touched today.
And Edgem, the Undying, I dub thee.
I dub thee. The Battle of the Fangs.
Sir Edgem, the Undying.
And he did it big this time. 10-0-7.
I guess as a real knight, that wouldn't mean much, because like as long as you are alive, you are technically
everyone
in real life you're something the Undying. But in this game,
what about the Mountain?
You're Sir Edgem.
He couldn't be. He's a knight, right?
Yeah. Well,
did he die though?
Did he ever get knighted? I guess so. Technically, I don't know. Captain of the Queen's Guard.
Yeah, whatever it is. 15 KDA here for Neo. 49,000 damage in a deservedly very short game. So, 49,000 doesn't look that big, but it's a big number when the game only lasts about 7 minutes. We got to see his Drogos some today. I love watching him play Bomb King. I love watching him play Drogos. He's a guy that I'm going to be looking out for at the MSI in a few weeks.
I think the flexibility that they have, like Edgem, we saw play Cassie a lot. Edgem plays Cassie really well. No reason to get away from that. But between him and Neo, they both have pretty deep champion pools, and I'm really excited to actually see them jump around, because I don't think there's going to be a way to control them.
Yeah.
They very much are the kind of team that the only way to beat them is to just outplay them.
And only 2 losses so far as beating Sanguine. 10-2, 23 plus minus. That puts them number 1 seed from this region. Hype unit 10-2-19. Of course, that solidifies them in the number 2 seed for this region. BOORK bouncing back. How's that for some alliteration towards the end of things? 3, and Zenith down there at 4.
Yep.
So definitely a fun split to watch. And these 2 teams bouncing back and forth the entire time. Any games today that you take away from specifically looking towards MSI?
It's just that entire Sanguine set.
Yeah.
Like, I think being able to have that performance against BOORK, even though they had a sub coming in for this week, I think was a very strong showcase for them. And I think that's exactly what you need. Like, nothing that reveals any strats, nothing that shows anything off other than the fact that, yeah, we're a really good team, we're strong, and based on like what Nick had said last week in Esports Weekly, people are kind of sleeping on them, which I think gives them another edge up.
You got to watch out when they come to MSI. That is going to do it for the minor league for this split, and do it for us here today. We have Esports Weekly tomorrow. We have the PPL returning on Thursday. Make sure you tune in. Don't want to miss it.